Let me introduce you to C. Pallavi Rao Navekar. Her life is full of action, comedy, romance, and 100% drama. Let's learn a little more about her life in her own words. Hi, Pallavi. Welcome to I Am Tomorrow.
Hi. Hi. Thank you so much for having me over.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
So, Pallavi, let's quickly start with the RJ part. When you're the most popular RJ in India, how did you become an RJ, and how was the experience?
Okay. How did I become an RJ? I started off from the time when there was no concept or even the term called a radio jock. They were called radio presenters at that time. So I'm talking about 26, 27 years old. So I started off as an English newsreader with the national channel of radio in India called All India Radio. And that was my ultimate ambition in life, that I had to have my voice on radio saying, this is Pallavi Rao, the news read by C. Pallavi Rao, whatever. So that was my ultimate ambition. But I was extremely lucky. And that was the first thing that I achieved in my career. So as soon as I achieved that, immediately after my graduation, I really did not know, what next. And that is when I started going from one studio to the other, taking a half a page resume of mine, saying, I can do voiceovers. Can you please give me some work, literally? So by word of mouth, I started getting voiceovers, so to say. And then someone suggested a channel called Times FM. So I became a radio jock with them, then moved on to AIR FM, 102.6 FM as an English presenter, Hindi presenter. And then eventually, after almost 9-10 years, is when the Indian airwaves opened up to private FM. And again, I was really lucky that I got through the largest radio network in India called Radio Mirchi. And I became the evening jock for them. So I used to host the drive time show in the evening called Bumper to Bumper by the name Pallo. So that was my radio journey as a radio jock, so to say.
Incredible. So in the peak of your career, you discovered that you had myasthenia gravis. Can you please let us know about it?
Yeah. Sure. So this is very interesting. So here I am, like totally obsessed, possessed by radio, by sound, by the concept of someone sitting in front of a mic and no one able to see your face, only able to listen to your voice by appointment, coming day after day, year after year. I was fascinated till date I am. And that was the only thing I thought I knew in my life. And then one evening, very interesting, one night after my show around 9 o'clock, I was cleaning up the studios. And frankly speaking, I was tired because it was a 4-hour show every day, lots of pressure of numbers and you know how it is in a corporate. And I said, I'm tired. I need a break or whatever. And I just thought, mentally that I needed a break. I need a break such that I have my job, I have my radio jogging, I have my show, but I get a break. And within that week, I got to know that I was expecting. So like, wow. So that was my short little break because I had some medical. It was a precious pregnancy because I'd gotten married late, I'd conceived late. So I had to take a break of about a month or two. Post that, I came back on air, did my show till pregnancy and till delivery. And then during my delivery is when complications happened. So I was unable to apparently come out of the anesthesia during my cesarean. And post that, I came back home. But within, I think, about 20 days, 25 days of my coming home with my infant baby in hand is when one day I was rocking him to sleep in the room and singing one very filmy song for him. And that is when I realized a slight slur in my voice. And I was taken aback. I said, who's slurring? Whose voice is that? And I rushed to the washroom and I started to speak in front of the mirror. And I said my normal sentence, you're listening to Bumper to Bumper on Radio Mirchi 98.3 FM. It's hot. And I started to slur badly. So I slept off that day because I was so scared as to what happened. I felt as if my muscles had gone weak. So next morning when I woke up, I was in for a supreme shock. I was unable to brush my teeth and spit out the froth. Nothing. I just, as if this thing had just gone lump. And instead of smiling, the smile goes up like that. My smile was drooping down. And that is when I got scared. I asked my brother and my husband, I said, I need to go to the doctor immediately. The doctor initially said, no, nothing, postpartum weakness. I said, wait, I'm a jock. So much of ego that you have, you don't accept such a thing. I said, I'm a jock, I'm unable to speak. She said, what nonsense? I said, get me a newspaper. I bought a newspaper, I read one paragraph. 3 sentences, I was fine. And the 4th sentence onwards, I started slurring big time. This time, the doctor stood up and she said, you're not going home. You're going to the neurologist, get a test done. And within, I think, 2 hours, it was found out that it is a very rare autoimmune disorder called myasthenia gravis that kind of weakens all your muscles, involuntary muscles. So my hand would stop, would not be able to write. I wouldn't be able to pick up a pen, pencil, spoon, anything. The worst was I was unable to breathe. There was no satisfaction in breathing. It was just labored breathing all the time. Slur was there. And it would worsen as the day would progress. Then it worsened further despite heavy duty steroids. It wasn't so much that my left eye would close on its own. And I was unable to eat or chew. So I would eat something and I had to put my, face up the other pipe. I would choke. So the doctor said this is not happening, and that this was about 3 months into the steroids. I stopped feeding my child, and it was not a very best time of my life. And then he said, which is surgery which removes the thymus gland, which is like an open heart surgery. So I got that done. All my symptoms vanished post the surgery, but after the surgery, you do a biopsy. And myasthenia gravis, as it is a rare autoimmune disorder, and very few myasthenics have thymoma with it. I was a chosen one. So post the biopsy turned out that I had thymoma, for which it is needed that you need to go through your chemotherapy and radiation and stuff. So I had to undergo that. So it was a huge, big surgery, major surgery, followed by radiation and chemo. And in the ICU and stuff. And do I tell you the story further ahead?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So after this, I was like, what did I do wrong in my life? What is it that I did not do right? To realize that I've taken a lot of stress in my life, the word that is not so that I didn't realize that I had abused my body, my mind, my spirit, everything. I had abused my body in the sense I would not sleep. I would only work. I would not say no to any work at any time of the day or night. I would do night shifts at AIR, teach in a school during daytime, do voiceovers through the day. I messed up my life. I would not eat at home. I would eat only the junk food outside and just take up stress, not say no to anything. No, say no to no work at all. Just continuously work. So after this entire thing happened, I said, I need to get my life fixed because of my kid. This can't go on. Then, thanks to my mad husband who loves to walk and jog and do marathons, he was doing a marathon training and I accompanied him to the park. I said, let me just go and you do your running and I'll do my pranayam and my yoga and, underneath the skies. So I went there and I got hooked on to a Reebok training, the marathon training. And I, who was unable to walk in a mall, in a house, I walked 3.75 kilometers on day 1. And my husband, Rahul, he stopped coming for the sessions. I continued with the trainer for the entire year. And I did the 7-kilometer Airtel Marathon, the dream run that year. And next year, again, thanks to my mad maverick husband, I enrolled for the 21 kilometers. And I was like, are you mad? 21 kilometers, I can't even imagine. But he said, it's all in the mind. I said, what nonsense. He said, okay, whenever you get tired, you stop. That's the easiest thing, but let's do it. So he forewent his timing, whatever, and he ran with me. So I did 21 kilometers and I was fit, fine, and sexiest body ever in my life because I was exercising so well. Why didn't I do this, earlier in my life? I was feeling fat. Now, 3 years down the line, 2011, one night I was reading out a story to my little kiddo and I heard a slur again. This time, the MRI showed that I had 5 tumors behind my left lung. So now that needed to be removed. That was again thymoma. The symptom had again come, the slur and the usual symptoms. So I had to undergo another huge big surgery to remove those 5 tumors. Again went through radiation, again went through chemo. And this time I was like angry. The first time I did not ask why me, because the first time, in fact, was the biggest jolt when during the surgery, the doctor had to take a decision to cut off and clean up from the inside, and my left vocal cord got paralyzed. So my voice went flat. So here I was, a radio jockey, so much of love for that, passion for that profession and my work. That was all that I was, my voice. And I lost my left vocal cord. And the doctor said, you can never go back on air. Now there's something called being very stubborn and getting angry. So I was both angry with the doctor. I was stubborn. I said, how dare he say I can't go back on air? And I told my mom, I said, I'm going to prove this doctor wrong. I will go back on air. So with my yoga instructor, he told me something very nice. He said, how come the doctor has told you that you can't speak because you lost one vocal cord? Why hasn't he told you that you have a second vocal cord, that you can work on that? And I think that was a turnaround for me. And he would come at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:35 in the morning. We would go to the park outside and do my exercises to eventually go back on air after a couple of months. Though I couldn't sustain the show, it was too much of a pressure for the voice box. So I had to decide whether I needed to speak with my child or do a show, and I eventually gave up the show. But yes, the power of the mind is what I learned on the go in this journey. I've read books, but I actually experienced it. Whatever you wish for, whatever you think, if you think it with a lot of focus, it might come true. It generally comes true. So that was it. And the second time round, again, surgery, everything happened. Then I went into the mode of looking for answers as to why me, why did this happen? Because this time I was looking after body so well. Then why did this happen again? So I went through past life regression and, EFT, you name it, all kinds of alternate healing methods. I tried looking for answers. And then again, I was in remission till 2015, when again some symptoms started to come back. And this time the doctors were like, what are you doing, woman? Go back home. Don't keep coming back here. As I want to, why do tell me what to do? So this time they found some hotspots in my right lung. So there's before it kind of surgery, and we'll remove all that. So then my left lung was compromised because my diaphragm has been cut. So I can't sleep on my back on my own. The right lung was also compromised. I came back home, but by then my body was complete. No immunity left, nothing at all. It was that I started. I got something called a myasthenia crisis. Okay, where none of the body system works. Nothing. My head was completely lifeless. And had Rahul not seen me at that point of time at home, that day I think I would have gone. I went back to the hospital, ICU. I got better and I was getting bored in the hospital because, I was in the stroke ICU, in a coma. I was the only one who was conscious. And I used to get bored and scared listening to all the medical parlance and whatever. And that is when I started observing the beds in the out of sheer time pass, the beds in my ICU. And there was this night when this man came with some paralytic stroke and screaming at the top of his voice, asking for his wife. Kamla ko bula do, call Kamla. I started noticing that, and I wrote a note to Rahul, who was waiting downstairs as usual on duty, and it became instead of a note, it became a short story about this guy and his wife and their love. So Rahul said, write more. I said, are you mad? I'm in the ICU with breathing support. I'm not here on a picnic. I'm not a writer. He said, just write. That was one of the best learnings, experiences of my life. When I started looking beyond myself, till now I'm thinking, I, me, myself, my pain, my myasthenia, my child, my husband, my mother, my love, everything. And suddenly I started focusing on the other beds, and it was delightful. Every ICU bed had a love story just waiting to be told. So I started writing on my mobile short stories, which is called ICU Love Stories. And when I came, and I also why don't you write a few more? And next year we'll publish it and we'll launch it in the. I said, I do not want to go back there, and I don't want to be an author. I'm not. I just want to narrate. I'm a storyteller. So he said, but imagine, just write a few more. Again, what you say, you should be very careful. Next year, which was 2016, I had something called type 2 lung failure, where I was unable to breathe at all. And the doctor said that I would not be able to survive, maybe. I was not told that, obviously. And the doctor gave about 72 hours, saying that post that we will have to do a trichostomy, which is like an incision here and a pipe that will remain with her throughout her life, and she'll have to breathe through that. Luckily, my neurologist and Rahul, both of them asked for 3 or 4 days' time. The neurologists are saying that let's just wait to see, just in case, she responds. Let's just give her 2 more days. So the pulmonary doctor said, fine, not an issue. And Rahul asked for 4 days. I do not know why. Later on, I got to know why, because he said, it's my wife's birthday in 3 days, 4 days. Can I celebrate her birthday and then we can do the trichostomy? So he said, fine, do it today. Tomorrow, you'll have to eventually get it done. So on my birthday, my husband compiled those unedited, horribly mistakes. That's those stories with grammatical errors, everything, into a book called ICU Love Stories. And he got the book. And my son was not allowed in the ICU at all. To celebrate my birthday, and we launched the book in the ICU. The bizarre part is that it was on the same bed where I wrote the first story the previous year. And apparently the doctors had said that she may or may not survive, which I got to know about 4 months ago when Rahul told the same thing to me during my podcast. So I wasn't even aware of that. When I came back, so when this happened, this is another very interesting part. The birthday, I was hyperventilating. I had too much oxygen in my system, which had become poisonous. So I was not able to think straight. The next day is when I overheard the doctor talk about the trichostomy. And that I seem to kind of understand that this can't happen. If I have that, then I will be labeled a disabled person. I will not be able to step out of the house, go to the office, because I was working from home all this time. But I will not be able to step out because of infection. My child will be scared of me. My mother would be heartbroken. My husband would not know what to do. I said, this can't happen. And where will I wear all my necklaces, my neck pieces? So I said, this can't happen. When I came back home after 15, 20 days, is when Rahul said that you made a dramatic turnaround the second day after your birthday. That gives me goosebumps till today, because that was the day when I decided that I wanted to go back home fine. So my learning has been the power of the mind, which you read in books, left, right, stuff. I have lived it. So yeah, I'm right now doing fine. I just gotten over a COVID attack. Of course, it had to come with my immunity and all, but I'm getting better, and that is my story.
So where can the audience find your book?
Amazon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. So Pallavi, one good thing is you made my life so easy. You answered all the questions yourself. So that is the comfort of speaking to a radio jockey, I suppose.
Never give a mic. Never give a mic to a jock. Yes.
Thanks so much for sharing your story, Pallavi, and keep writing more love stories, but not from the hospital anymore, but from home. And we would
Yes.
definitely like to read more of them.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me over.
Thank you.
Okay.